Hello! I am recording this for a second time because the other night I recorded this and two other videos that I thought were really great, and I was totally out of focus the whole time. So that's what I get for being overconfident. So this time my husband helped get me in focus, so let's hope it goes well. So today I thought it'd be fun to rank all the eyeshadow palettes that I've purchased in 2020. If you've been following along with my journey, you might know that 2020 started with me planning to do a no-buy for the whole year. And I'm not going to get into it too much, but due to unforeseen circumstances, mostly COVID-19, I decided to pivot a little bit. So anyway, this is everything that I've purchased since April 1st, which was when I broke my no-buy and made my first makeup purchase. And I haven't really purchased any other makeup other than this, besides what came in my BoxyCharm, which I have since canceled. I'm also doing a video about that. If it's not out already, it'll be out soon. So yeah, I thought it'd be nice to just kind of go through these and rank these. I'm going to start with my least favorite and I'm going to go to my favorite. So let's get started. My least favorite is, funny enough, the palette that I broke my no-buy for, and that is the Carly Bible Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. I got this palette on sale. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but I'll put the price here. And it's really beautiful. It's got really gorgeous shades, but I've only used it like once or twice since I got it. I just am finding that the color palette is not super inspiring to me at the moment, but the more I look at the colors, it seems very wintry to me. It's like a lot of really beautiful purples and mauves with like a hint of cranberry red, like a super gold shadow. So I think that come winter this is going to be really handy, but as of right now I'm just not inspired by it. But I'm not getting rid of it either because I do still really like it. I think it's really beautiful. It's just not for me at this exact moment in time. It is still available. I checked the Anastasia Beverly Hills website. I think it's $31.50, but I paid a little bit less than that. The next palette that is kind of my second to last ranked palette is this e.l.f. Bite Size palette in this shade Pumpkin Pie. And honestly, it has nothing to do with this palette itself. The palette's really cute. The shades are nice. It costs $3, which is freaking awesome. The problem is I bought this for travel, and well, no travel has happened. And the thing is, like, I have so many nice warm palettes here at my house that if I'm going to use warm shadows, I'm not going to reach for something like this. I'm going to reach for something that gives myself a little bit more variety. I just tend to be the type of person that something like this with 4 shadows, like some people see this and they feel like less stressed about it. For me, my creativity feels stifled if it's only a few shades. So this, again, I'm not getting rid of it because I do still like this. It's just not functional for my purposes at the moment. Next up is a palette that I actually had told my friend Chelsea, if this palette goes on sale, I'm going to buy it. And then sure enough, the next week it did go on sale, and that is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. How gorgeous is this, like, Foxy Cleopatra branding? Oh, it's so nice. It looks like this on the inside, but again, I'm just kind of not super inspired by this at the moment. It's nice. It's a neutral palette. I think this will also be really good for travel if I'm doing like a slightly longer trip and I want to take a little bit more variety. This would be awesome to have. I think that it's a really nice range of depth. You've got like the super light, but then you've also got these shadows to create some dimension here, but I'm just kind of about it. And as I say that, and you're going to hear me say that a lot in this video, and I don't mean to be like a negative Nancy, it's just honestly how I'm feeling right now. And a lot, if not all of that, can be attributed to just everything that's happening with coronavirus. Like, it's really hard for me to find a good creative outlet at the moment, and I just find that like it just feels like nothing matters, and I have to be super inspired by something to want to create currently, and that's just not how I feel about this, and that's okay. So next up, funny enough, this year was the year of two of my favorite YouTubers, both came out with a collab this year, which is so exciting. And the first YouTuber that came out with a collab this year that I was super stoked about was Jay Kissa and her To The Rescue palette with e.l.f. It is beautiful. It looks like this on the inside, so obviously you can see it's a rainbow palette. It's got just kind of your traditional rainbow colors up top. The middle is kind of like slightly deeper, almost jewel tone versions for just like deepening, and then shimmers on the bottom. I really like this palette. Most of the shades I really enjoy. I haven't used all of them. Oranges and yellows are great. The blues are great. The purples, not great. I tried to do a look with those and it was so patchy. It just like wouldn't hang on certain parts of my eye. It was very strange. It didn't photograph well. So I'm kind of staying away from the purples for the most part. But the rest of the shades are really nice. I just have not been feeling like rainbow vibes lately, but I do love this shade Paloma. It's so nice for just like an all over mustard look, which is one of my favorite things. Suki and Firefly are both really great shimmery, toppery shades. They've got some depth to them, but they're really nice to just kind of do like a one color look, like a monochromatic look. And that is one thing I really enjoy about this palette, is it's super easy to build a monochromatic look. So if that's something that you're not super comfortable with, or you don't have a ton of these rainbow shadows, it's really fun to just do, you know, kind of like Yosemite, which is the yellow, like all in the crease, deepen it up a smidge with Paloma, put Firefly on your lid, and move on. This shade Bailey, the shimmery blue, is my absolute favorite shade in the palette. It is phenomenal. It's so beautiful. The other thing about this palette is, if you're familiar with it, you know that it came with stickers to go on the outside. Mine is still blank, and that is because ever since I was a kid, I've always been the kind of person who, like, I love stickers. I always have. But I get them, and then I feel like really frozen, like I don't know what to do with them. And especially on something like this, I'm like, well, what if I put them on there and I don't like how it looks? Which I know that like the rational response is like, okay, well then like just take them off or like put some different stickers on there. But in my mind, probably because like I've been an anxiety ridden mess, in my mind it's like a way bigger deal than that. So, or I'm like, what if they get scratched? Or it's so silly. But anyway, that's why my palette is still blank. I've got the stickers in my desk drawer, and that is probably where they're gonna stay, at least for a little while. I also wanted to include the e.l.f. Jay Kissa Tsuki to My Heart liquid shadow duo. I don't remember what it's called, but it's liquid shadows double-ended. I really love this. I love this a little bit more than the palette, actually. I'm not normally a liquid shadow kind of gal. I find it to be difficult to work with. I don't like how it feels on my eye. I don't like waiting for it to dry. But I really wanted to be able to recreate any looks that Jay Kissa posted, or any of the looks from the campaign. So I went ahead and got this. But this was $12, which felt a little steep for me personally, again, because I don't buy a lot of liquid shadows. So I was like, ugh, do I really want to spend $12 on that? But I'm so glad I did. Both shades are so beautiful. The white shade, which is What a Pity Smile, has beautiful glitter in it, and it almost gives you like a wet look. I actually through the summer have been loving wearing just like a brow mascara and a little bit of that clear shadow just to give a little bit of interest on the lid. It's really beautiful. And then the other shade, I'm Pupset, is also really gorgeous. It blends so nicely with the shadows. I really love this. So if you're a liquid shadow person, or even if you're not, if you're intrigued by these colors, I would highly recommend picking that up if you're in the market for something like that. The other YouTuber collab that I was so excited about, and so was everyone else on the planet, apparently, is the Pure Raw Beauty Christie Pressed Pigment Palette. This is so beautiful, and this is, if you're familiar, if you're like in the makeup world, you know that like the site crashed. It was like a whole big thing. I was really lucky to be able to get this. My order actually, not to brag, but my order went through at like 11 a.m. I don't know why. Most people couldn't get it to work until that night at like 11 p.m. to midnight. So I'm very thankful that mine worked. But if you haven't seen this palette, it's double-sided. It's got one side that's really colorful and then one side that is more of a neutrals palette. It's kind of like a more interesting neutrals. It's not just like tan and cream and brown. It's got like a little bit of mustard. It's got kind of a corally shade. It's got like this mauve pinky shade. Again, I just haven't been super inspired by this lately, and I'm shocked because I thought I would be, but something is just not speaking to me at the moment. I think it's just the season. I'm not like a summer gal anyway, so I think that's part of it. But I have used it a couple times and it performs beautifully. It's really nice. The colors are, I mean, because it's pressed pigments, they are like, wow, like so bright on the eye, which is wonderful. But just haven't been using it a ton, which is wild. So these last two palettes are kind of sister palettes, and they're far and away the things that I'm most excited about in my collection right now. Now, for context, these are also the newest things in my collection, but I have used them more than I've used anything else that I just named, and I've had all of that stuff for longer. So if that kind of tells you anything, I'll just get into it. So my second place is the Alter Ego Artemis palette. And I'm gonna open it, and some of you people might be like, that looks familiar. If you're a Natasha Denona person, I'm not, because I'm cheap, but if you're a Natasha Denona person, this is a dupe of the Metropolis palette. The Metropolis palette, I believe, retails for $129. This bad boy is $22. I actually just happened to find out about Alter Ego, I'm not kidding, the day before this palette launched. It was like the luckiest thing on the planet. I was planning on getting something else, and I went to their Instagram and saw this and was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow so I can add that to my order. This palette is beautiful. I'm gonna show it one more time as I kind of talk about the colors. So as you can see, there's a pretty wide range of colors. There's like oranges and I guess just oranges. I was gonna say, well, no, there's a little red. Oranges and reds, there's some gold tones in there, some greens, a couple of blues. For me, this is like my perfect summery palette. It's got tones that I really like, that are really flattering on me, but it's got like that ocean blue that gives you just a hint of summer. My dog just tried to bust in here. And I just think it's really beautiful. The reason that's in second place is just because it's so many shades that it can feel slightly overwhelming at times. And again, my brain is not in the best place currently. So if I don't go into it with a plan, if I just open it, I'm like, ugh, it's too much. Now, one thing that I do to combat that, and this goes for any of these palettes, is I use YouTube or I use Instagram. So if I want to use the e.l.f. J. Kissa palette, I'll look up the hashtag and look at looks, and that typically can inspire me to recreate something if I just can't come up with something on my own because my brain is just not in a good place to do that. So I have done that with this palette and it's worked out beautifully, and I have created a couple of my own looks as well, but for the most part, it can be a little overwhelming. The other thing about this palette that you may want to know is that some of the shadows have a cream to powder formula. Now, I have not used the Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona, but apparently hers have a similar thing. No shade, but I would imagine hers do perform a smidge better, and that seems to be the case based on videos that I've seen. But I do still really like these. It takes a little bit of getting used to because you have to build up those shadows a lot more than you do a normal powder shadow. Like, you have to like really get your brush in there and then really build it up. The nice thing about it though is A, there's no fallout, and B, I find that I personally am more thoughtful with my placement of shadow when I have a formula like that. And placement tends to be the thing that I struggle with most when doing my eye makeup. So it's kind of nice to have something that doesn't just go on right away. Like, you know, it takes a little bit of time and finessing. Therefore, I can get a better shape than maybe I could if I was going in with something super pigmented, throw it on and then go, oh crap, that's not what I want it to look like, but there's not much I can do except try to blend it out. So I've gone on long enough. That's the Artemis palette. I love it. But now for my number one. It is the palette. That is the first one that I ever saw from Alter Ego, and I fell in love and instantly was like, oh my gosh, I need that. And then I fell in love with the price tag even more, which was $16, and it is the Goddess palette. Also, I didn't mention this, but their packaging is so nice. It's got this soft touch. I think it looks so classy. Like, it just doesn't look like a dupe palette. Like, if you just saw this in someone's collection, you wouldn't be like, ugh, what's that? I'm such a snob for branding. There's a lot of makeup that I am not drawn to just because of how the outside of the packaging looks. And I know that's bad, but it's true. But this is just so nice. Like, it feels really good in your hand. It's like weighty, but in a good way. Like, when I opened the package, that was the first thing I noticed, was like how heavy they felt. So anyway, here's the inside of the Goddess palette. How beautiful is that, right? So this is a dupe for the Natasha Denona Gold palette, which has been on my radar since it came out. I have been obsessed with that palette, but there was absolutely no way I was going to buy it. Like, I would just watch videos and lust over it, but I was like, there's just no way. Like, even if it went on sale for like $70, I still wasn't going to do it. So when I saw this for $16, my heart just soared. So this is the palette that I have on today. I find that it's just such a perfect balance for me. It's got a lot of neutrals in it, but they're just like slightly what I would call elevated neutrals. They're just like a little bit more interesting. They're the tones that I love, like more of these like kind of slightly grungier tones. You've got the two blue shades, which bring a lot of visual interest, and that's obviously what's mostly on my eyes today. It's just really great. I love this palette. I can't wait to keep playing around with it. It's so, so great. And that's why this guy is the palette that I am most excited about from all of my 2020 purchases. Also, I didn't mention this before, but if you do get something from Alter Ego, they have a lot of affiliate codes. Check some of your favorite YouTubers or beauty influencers. They may have a code. I know that Beaute Bean has a code. I know that Patty Alonso has a code. So just look up Alter Ego on YouTube and see who pops up, and if it's somebody that you really love, use their code. Because it's good for them, right? I don't have a code, so I'm gonna like push other people's codes so you can save money and so they can get a little bit of recognition. It's a win-win, right? So anyway, that is where I am with my 2020 makeup purchases. I really don't think I've bought anything else. I'm like looking, yeah, this is the only thing that I've technically broken my no buy with, which I'm not really doing anymore. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you enjoyed this beauty content. I'm so excited to create more. I'm feeling so just enthusiastic about YouTube and about hanging out with you guys, and I hope that you will say hello in the comments. If you do, let me know your favorite makeup purchase of 2020. What have you been obsessed with? Are you as obsessed with it as I am with the Goddess palette? Let me know. And if you like this kind of content, if you like beauty, if you like thrifted fashion, if you like talking about budgets and low buys, make sure to subscribe so that you can stay up to date. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.